Instead of using many appliances over the years, just use one to consume less and save more. Miele products are designed to last for 20 years. That's quality ahead of its time. Miele, immer besser.
Good afternoon, everybody, or morning if you're in the US. My name is Nick Flutter.
I'm Nikita.
We are co-directors of the BVN New York studio. We'd like to share with you our project Reply from the last sort of 15 months. There we go.
Okay, so the story started in June 2020 during the Black Lives Matter protest. At that point, New York City was 3 months into COVID lockdown, and the people took to the streets in protest. As a consequence, the building owners barricaded shops all over the city. And like many people, we were thinking, all these plywood all over the city, what do we do with them? How do we avoid them going to landfill? So at the same time, there had been an announcement about outdoor dining, and restaurants were closed indoors, but were able to open outdoors. And we had an idea to make restaurant furniture. So we started putting up signs on some of the plywood to ask for donations. A lot of various businesses came forward to donate the plywood, including the Rockefeller Center. That was one of the first ones. And they donated about 150 sheets. We collected hundreds of sheets in that first week. This was our storage there.
And we quickly kind of set about designing, and this was a very, very fast turnaround process, a kit of parts of furniture that we thought would be useful for the restaurants as they opened up. And so as part of the kit, there was this kind of planter, which is to protect the restaurant from the street, from the cars. There's like a table and chairs, very simple, and a barrier and a hand sanitizer stand. And with the help of CNC machines and a bunch of local fabricators who were kind of a little short on work at the time, we started to prototype. And in the first couple of days, we built prototypes of the furniture, and within a couple more days, we were out in the street because we didn't really have a workshop at the time, assembling everything. And within the first 2 weeks, we delivered a couple of restaurants worth of furniture. And this restaurant is one of our first takers, WAF in Soho. And this setup enabled them to kind of get open again after about 3 months of closure in the lockdown. And then since we started the project, in total, we've kind of collected and repurposed about 500 sheets of plywood, about 200 lengths of 2x4, which is the framing behind the plywood barricades. And we've delivered about 25 really small projects all around New York City.
And we've really grown since those first couple of weeks. This is one of our first projects. It's called The Longhouse. It's an outdoor work and event space for co-working company Neuhaus. And like restaurants, they were also gradually welcoming co-working members back and wanted a safe space for outdoor working events and cafe dining. 2 seasons later, as the city started coming back from the pandemic for Freeze New York 2021, we collaborated with artist David Ellis to reskin the Longhouse in a billboard scale artwork. And what he did was created a series of works called Remix, repurposing old record sleeves to create graphic sculptures, which were then printed on the Longhouse's waterproof membrane to symbolize a cultural restart. So it's really nice. It introduced a new atmosphere to the space and brought people together as shared social experience kicked off again.
Through doing this kind of experience for the Longhouse, we created, or really rather extended, our original kit of parts to build structures rather than just furniture. So we created this flexible assembly that incorporates the roof frame a kind of protective barricade planter and a modular floor, and then a bunch of components for fitting it out. And all of that comes together into an assembly, which is reconfigurable depending on the length required. It can be easily and quickly disassembled and moved, which has been incredibly useful over the course of the project. And on the completion of the longhouse, we refined and developed this, this kit to be more effective for restaurants. It's designed with the principles of greenhouses in mind to try to trap as much winter sun as possible to passively warm the spaces. And over the course of the last kind of 12 months, we have built several versions of this, gradually refining it each time and building in a bunch of modifications and improvements and customizations based on the needs of the restaurants. And I think where we've landed is we've created some kind of really beautiful outdoor interior spaces that have become kind of part of New York's dining experience.
Some of our projects also went through multiple iterations as the city guidelines and the restaurant's needs evolve. This is one example of a project that it was a really lovely project that brought all the neighborhood together in support of the local cafe. It's for a little cafe in the West Village. And what we did was provided the flat packed components. And in one day, everyone from the street, all the neighbors assembled a space that they now use every day and feel immensely proud of. The same kit also used, again, this is the second iteration of YN, that first restaurant that we showed you. And we added a modular roof over the original furniture and planters. This was fall 2020. And a few days ago, we just completed version 3 of the same restaurant that adds a more resilient enclosure to help them through the coming winter. The same kit, we also applied this in Miami, where we worked with a remote construction team.
We've also used our approach to build a bunch of pop-ups around the city. We built this month-long food market for the Rockefeller Center using the same plywood that they originally donated from their barricades. And we repurposed this mural from one of our collaborators, Teresa Rivera, which was originally installed in the meatpacking district during the lockdown on one of the storefronts. And then a year later, we were invited back to the Rockefeller Center to create another kit of parts for their summer outdoor dining pop-up on the rooftop overlooking Fifth Avenue. For Gramercy Tavern, we customized the planter so that it could be moved and reconfigured to take advantage of their open street on the weekends, but provide a crash barrier through the week. And in the meatpacking district, again, in collaboration with Teresa Rivera, we customized our restaurant kit to create an adaptable pop-up structure that can be used for a variety of events. And its first use was as a floral installation as part of the Leaf Flower Show. And we're rebuilding this next week in a different configuration for the holiday festival.
So what's next? We developed our kit further, and it's going closer into architecture than pop-ups. We're doing this in collaboration with Bureau Happold engineers. The next evolution of our kit of parts approach using SIP panels to build manageable size components that fit together like Lego. And our prototype will be a small cabin designed to be installed easily without heavy machinery in any remote location. This can be reconfigured in a variety of ways thanks to its modular structural and architectural approach. So it could be as small or as big as you want, and it could be like oriented different ways. And the interior can be configured for a variety of uses that meet emerging needs as we look for new ways to live and work in the coming years, helping us get back to nature and building on lessons learned about modular kit of parts designed for manufacture, sustainable circular building techniques. So I'm very excited to see where this takes us. And that's a wrap. Thank you.
Thank you.
I must say that I'm very impressed. Thank you very much. Congratulations, because of the whole process that you invented, from the simple idea to ask, because you saw plywood in the street and ask for, using it. And from that, you have really invented a sort of story that you are continuing. My question is, in the quite beginning, when you discovered these plywood panels and asked for using them, did you anticipate such a story which follow you for more than 1 year in so many projects, in so many different projects? Did you anticipate that?
Absolutely not. This was meant to be a 5 weeks project. We were only planning to use the plywood that we found from the Black Lives Matter protests, but they just keep coming. I mean, it's we've accidentally become this call center of people who has plywood that they don't know how to use for.
Yeah, I think.
Can I just interrupt a second? If a restaurant or an organization in New York wants to take up your services, how do they contact you directly? And is it your business? Is this how you are living at the moment, by providing this service?
It's a subsidiary of BVN. We did set it up as a separate business, but really we kind of see it as a project. We have a lot of people that we stay in touch with, and we have a great network of restaurants and businesses all around the city that we have kind of built out of this, really. People who've come to us, and people find us through word of mouth and get in touch with us through our website. And
Sure.
And
so there's
so
a
it's
website
kind of
people can go to.
Yeah, it's re-ply.org.
Re-dash.
re-ply.org.
Re-ply.
Well, of course, title.
And in the beginning, you didn't anticipate this particular activity.
I think it naturally grew into more and more. In the beginning, as we presented, we were only going to make furniture for restaurants because we saw the plywood sheets, and we have been exploring ways of productizing architecture more than building custom. So we have been interested in that anyway. So we use that the expertise that we have to turn these plywood sheets into restaurant furniture. And because it was summer, that's all we thought we were going to do. And then autumn came, and some of the restaurants started calling and asked, "Hey, can you give us a little bit more enclosure?" And that's when we started evolving the design into more. We started putting walls and roofs, and we tried to still apply the kit of parts approach, because now it's proven really useful, having the modularity and making it having the design help us to disassemble it and reassemble it in different places. So it's not just building something that you need to demolish.
Exactly.
Oliver, what do you think?
I have a curiosity about this project. I saw it in January, I think, this year first, which is that you've definitely given the plywood a second lease of life. And so in terms of the circularity, you've taken it like another 90 degrees or to 270 degrees or whatever. But what's the end of life for this stuff? Because it's got a limited, lifespan. What's the lifespan of the pieces that you make? And what happens to them afterwards? Because plywood's got all that nasty glue in it. You can't really chipper it up and do anything else with it very easily.
It's a challenge that we are invested in, I suppose. One of the nice things about building things in a modular way is that you can use them for something else when they are no longer needed for their first purpose. So what we've started to find is that some of the structures that we built early on are getting sold and reused and repurposed themselves as structures. So that's a kind of nice little lesson, like designing for deconstruction and disassembly and reassembly. I think ultimately,
it doesn't quite come back to Oliver's point, though, does it? That you, I mean, unless you use them and use them and use them and literally use them forever.
right. I mean, you know, I think we first set out to find one extra 90 degrees.
Yeah.
We've found a second 90 degrees, and
we've started finding a third life for them. One of the structures, the outdoor working structure, just got sold into for a hotel. And even before that, a few weeks ago, it was moved from the outside to the inside for an event. And then now it's getting transferred from inside back to the outside for another purpose.
Right. Yeah. So I think that is really like that has been successful. I don't think we've discovered a magic solution for stopping plywood from slowly disintegrating over time in the elements, other than just painting it and protecting it and maintaining it. I think you know, we're looking at as an aside, like other materials that we can use that might be recyclable, more circular in the way that we can actually like put them back into, you know, their original raw form at the end of the process.
But we know that's a big ask in reality.
Yeah, absolutely.
Johnny, can you
okay. I love it.
Thoughts?
It's absolutely beautiful. I came from New York, and now it's nice to see now everything in New York is refined and, you know, expensive, and it's recyclable, it's sustainable, and, you know, I must applaud you on your courage, because it must be very you need to go to your boss, I assume, and tell BVN, say, hey, you know, I want to do this. And my question, I was gonna ask, how do you make money out of this? Very direct. But I also wanted to ask, how do you connect these plywoods? Is it nailed, or does it disassemble easily? Does it waterproof? Are you called back after it's damaged? Yeah, all these very technical questions, so that
you want to know all about it.
Beautiful.
I'll talk for a second about the technical part, and Nikita can talk about the other part. We use a lot of CNC detailing. We kind of leverage the CNC machine to do most of the work for us, and so all of our details work with any thickness of material that we put in. So a lot of the recycled sheets, you know, they vary from 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch thickness, and so all of the joints between the panels need to accommodate that neatly. And so we've kind of developed a little bit of a few techniques for doing that in simple ways. And is that the end of the technical question?
Do you have to nail it together, or just
how does it make money, Nikita? That's the question.
Okay. Well, in the beginning, this was an initiative that we, as you mentioned, we did go to BVN, and we asked, we would really want to do this. We want to make sure that the plywood doesn't go to landfill, and at the same time, we wanted to help the city. So at that point, a lot of projects were on hold for not just us architects, but also fabricators and who else? Well, mostly us and fabricators. So we got lucky in the beginning because everyone just wanted to do work, and everyone was giving us cost price, and it was a really sweet thing where we all got together and we tried turning the quite sad moment of the city into something good. And
I think, can I just like jump in? I think that productizing buildings has got enormous potential to be profitable. And, you know, I think we're running this project as a .org, so we're not really setting out to make a huge profit. We're really doing this as a kind of a service to the city. Yeah. But the research that we're taking away from it is really interesting. kind of expanding out to a greater proportion of the building.
Yeah,
Gail,
I think it's a sorry. What?
quickly, please.
I think it's such an inspiring project. You know, you saw the opportunity and you further develop it, and you also show that there's no difference between product design, furniture, interior design, this very category, and architecture. You turn it into architecture. And, you know, and if you look at through London, these kind of solutions are usually taken in a very boring way, and you started from nothing. You saw the opportunity, and you develop it fantastically well. And you beautify the city as well. It's not just, I have a space and some table. You added the value of beauty to all these spaces. So
And on that very positive, edifying note, thank you so much.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you so much, everyone.